Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm so excited because I get to review the G3 2-in-1 Resiners Curing Machine. And if you guys been watching, you saw that I did review, they sent me their air purifying machine a little while back, and that removes all of the harmful VOCs from the air while you're using resin and epoxy products. And I absolutely fell in love with that. And I even actually, right after I got that from them, I purchased the airless bubble machine. It removes like 99% of the bubbles in your resin before you start pouring so that you have minimal defects in your projects. So when they got back to me on this, I was super excited to have a curing machine. That was actually my next purchase on my list. And I said, absolutely, I want to try it out. And if you've worked with epoxy and resin before, a lot of times the cure times are 24 hours, up to 72 for a full cure. This can take it down to 2 to 4 hours, which is a huge time saver. And she said that we have Amazon days coming up on October 7th and 8th, and they are going to be lowering the price from $149.99 to $119.99. And then she gave me a specific code for 15% off of that. And so that would make this machine down to $101.99, which is a huge savings for you guys. It's an amazing deal for a tool that can save you so much time. And so let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so we're gonna unbox this machine, and I love how their machines are all like color coordinated in this really pretty mint color, and these are so easy. Like, they make it very easy to put together and to start up and use, and that's what I love. And it's not a huge machine, it's nice and compact, yet it still can get several projects done. So it comes with this little silicone mat here, and this is the base. You can either do it this way, or you can flip it around and do it the other way. And so it has that height there, and then you put the silicone base mat on top, and you put the thing on top, plug it in, and it's ready to go. So this is the power button, as well as it also changes. It has 3 different settings. So it has the flat setting, the tall setting, and the UV light setting. So the tall means you have larger molds. Flat are for like those coasters and smaller projects. And then it does have the time as well as the temperature. So what I used was, I think I was at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. I did do it for 4 hours, and it came out perfect because I was using these taller molds. So these are little squirrels, and you probably saw in my last YouTube video I did show these squirrels for the autumn video, and I did some pumpkins as well, and then I did some leaf coasters. And so I had varying heights all in the same setting, and they all worked out perfectly. So you always want to use your PPE, so gloves, get your air purifier if you have one when you're using epoxy resin, and that'll keep you a lot more safe. And mine is just a AB 1-to-1 ratio, so I'm going to put one amount of the A and the same amount of the B, and then I'm going to mix it for 5 minutes. Now you want to make sure to read the instructions on your specific type of resin because they are a little different. And this is also, I told you that I bought the Air Bubble or Airless Pro bubble remover, so I am going to try it out on this, and I was so impressed, you guys. I am so excited to get back into really making a ton more resin products and some pens and stuff, because this is a lifesaver. I could not believe how many thousands of bubbles it pulled to the top of my 4 ounces of resin that I had mixed by hand. Now my next purchase is hopefully to get one of those mixers, and then I'll be set. I can just do so many projects, in one day. It'll be insane, and I love that. So I've mixed it now for 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pour it in their cup. Now you want to make sure that it only goes up to like halfway on the cup, because it does rise quite a bit, and there's a little port on the back that you want to plug to make sure that it has the suction going, and you just push go, and look at this, you guys. Look at how many bubbles. It looks like it's boiling, and that's why you want it at halfway on your cup, because it does need that ability to rise and not boil, but bubble over, I should say. So I did run this for 10 minutes at first, and then I did another 15 minutes, and I think by the end of 20 minutes it was this, and it was just amazing. Look at how clear that is. It's just insane. And so I was always getting so frustrated when I would hand pour my projects and not have this machine to pull out the air. I would use like alcohol, rubbing alcohol, or heat to remove the bubbles, but that's only on the surface. So now I'm using Ranger alcohol inks and espresso, and I want to put it just in the stem part of the pumpkin. So I have a little, I think they're called pipette or pipette, and I'm just putting a little bit in there and making sure it just goes down into that stem part, and then we'll make a different color with the rest of the resin and fill the pumpkins. So that's another fun part, is being able to kind of mix your own colors. I made like a kind of a deep darker orange red color, and you know, you can mix blue pumpkins, you can mix yellow pumpkins, you know, all kinds of colors, which is fun with the alcohol inks. You can also use paint if you don't have alcohol inks to mix your colors. That works just as well. And when you're pouring into your molds, you want to try and pour really slow to try and keep the bubbles down to a minimum. So I'm going to be using the color Rust and Sunset Orange to mix my pumpkin color. And because I'm mixing again, I want to make sure to use my bubble remover right after this again to remove whatever bubbles that I am putting in while mixing. And of course, you know, you always can get the same products without all these tools, but I always have believed in, when you use the right tools, even though they may be an investment at the beginning, your outcome is going to be way of a higher quality than normal. And so because I'm reselling these products, I want to make sure that it is as perfect as I can get it. So here I am just pouring the molds in, or pouring the resin in the mold, and then I'm going to let that just sit aside, because it takes usually you have about a 45-minute window with this resin to work with before it starts the curing process. So I'm going to go ahead and do another project while that's sitting. And I've got my air purifier going, and at first it was fine. That was before I started using the resin, and then of course it detected some VOCs, so it turned red and turned the fan on for me. So now we're going to have fun doing some autumn leaf coasters, and I've got all kinds of different colors. I've got crimson and yellow and orange and ginger here, and we're gonna put some of those alcohol inks and kind of make the leaves all different colors. Like I said, this is kind of the fun part where you get to be creative and watch the magic happen as you're going. And you want to remember that the side that's facing us up at the top right now is actually the bottom. So you want to gear that towards your finished product, especially if you're doing like a clear with some dried florals in it. Make sure to flip the flowers face down so that when you demold, it actually has the flowers facing the correct way, if that makes sense. So here I am. I'm taking my little spatula that I use to mix with, and I'm just kind of pulling the colors. I know I'm a little bit off the screen there, but you'll see in the next couple. I'm pulling the colors around and kind of creating little designs in the leaves, and the design you get on this side is not the same as the next side, like the underside. So, I mean, it's kind of a surprise to everyone, you know, when you flip it over, what it's actually going to look like, which is kind of fun in itself. But I loved being able to spread these colors out and kind of have different tones throughout the leaves, and it was just a fun process to do. Now, looking back, I probably should have done this on top of my tray here, because trying to move those, it did kind of spill over a little bit and changed a little bit of the outlook of what the leaves were supposed to be. But that's okay. You live and learn, right? So I just kind of redid it real quick while we were in there. I put my pumpkin molds in the middle, the leaves are on the outside, and then I'm going to go ahead and place the top on, and I'm going to put it on the tall setting, which is that middle one. So I'll push power and then push the second. And then I'll add on the right hand side the timer, and then also the second button on the left is your temperature. So I'm going to go up to 140 degrees for 4 hours and just walk away. That's just like the best part of it. And you can see here we're on the tall setting and we're 7 minutes in and it's just working away. And I love that it has the cover completely so that it keeps all of the dust off as well. And you guys, look at these little squirrels. They're so cute. My husband was floored. He's like, oh my gosh, those are so cute. And I'm actually making these for the store, but if you guys are interested, I could also make some and put them on my website. Just let me know in the comments and I will get some of those made. I also have a little French bulldog. I have all kinds of different molds that I can put on my website if you guys are interested. So I am taking off in a couple of days for Sonnet's retreat. I will be teaching there. I'm so excited. But I will make a holiday video for you doing some vintage ornaments for next Monday. So I hope you guys tune in for that. And I will see you after I get back with a bunch more thrift flips for the holidays. Take care, guys. Bye. All right, friends, that wraps up my review of the G3 2-in-1 Resiners Curing Machine. I love the fact that the base has different options where you can do a flat lay for the coaster size or bookmarks or small jewelry, or you can do a bigger one where you can do the bigger molds like I did with the pumpkins and the squirrels. So just like the Resiners' other products, I was very, very happy with this. The outcome is amazing, and it just makes the creative process so much easier. So don't forget, during Amazon Days, October 7th and 8th, they are dropping their price down to $119.99, and then with my 15% off, you can get it for $101.99, which is a huge savings. And I'll make sure to drop that link down in the code or the description box below. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this type of videos, the DIYs, upcycling, repurposing, please give me a thumbs up and like and comment and share all the good things to help my channel grow. And until next time, keep creating and always find the beauty in the worn and weathered. Bye, guys.